Hello everyone, this is ponderonweather. In this update, we're going to be talking about Major Hurricane Ida that's expected to make landfall as a strong Category 4, possibly a 5, with life-threatening impacts. So if you do like weather-related content, please subscribe to my channel as I will upload daily updates to keep you ahead of the storm. So let's get right to it. This is your overall satellite picture of Ida, and man, this is going to be a powerful storm, guys. I mean, it's coming out of Cuba. It went over Cuba last night, and it actually had a convective burst over land, and that was a sign of things to come because the conditions out in the Gulf is extremely favorable. You can definitely see it's already starting to get that look to it. The outflow out of these systems is really favorable. It's going to be able to pull a lot of this Gulf moisture, wrap it around in that counterclockwise flow, and really start to intensify later on today, and especially and get intensification all the way up until landfall. And they're already getting some heavy rain along the coast even as we speak. And we also have a tropical storm Nora that looks to make impact as a hurricane as well into Cabo. So man, we've got two systems that look back-to-back hurricane landfalls. So let's take a look at the overall satellite picture in the road ahead. Man, this water vapor imagery, there's not much stopping Ida to really start to intensify. There's a lot of deep level moisture here. There's absolutely no shear in the Gulf. There's hardly any dry air whatsoever, so there's not going to be much to stop this system from rapidly intensifying into a major hurricane, which is expected by the National Hurricane Center. So let's take a look at the latest guidance. This is the 2 a.m. Guidance when I'm recording this video. It's coming off. It's in the Gulf. It's officially now a hurricane at 80 miles an hour. It's moving northwest at 15 miles an hour. It's expected to rapidly intensify and be a major hurricane already by tonight, and then continuing intensification literally all the way up until landfall. I mean, it's expected to make landfall currently at 140 mile per hour Category 4 hurricane with major impacts along into Louisiana. That's why they've got hurricane watches and warnings posted currently right now, essentially from warnings from Lafayette all the way to New Orleans, and evacuation orders are in place to get out of Dodge because this thing is coming, and it's coming in strong, and it means business, guys. We talked about this storm several days ago. I was very concerned about this system and the road ahead, and unfortunately it's coming to fruition, and we're talking life-threatening impacts with this system. The storm surge could even be somewhat conservative even as right now, but man, they're calling anywhere from 2 to 4 feet all the way out here at Sabine Pass, getting all the way up until 10 to 15 feet. If you recall, Laura got up to 13 feet just last year. So we're talking Laura type impacts, and you know the damage that Laura did into Lake Charles. So I mean, this is definitely, you know, catastrophic, life-threatening. I mean, there's just no way to sugarcoat this, guys. I mean, this is a dangerous, life-threatening system. You know, it's got a lot of high wind to it, storm surge, and the waves off the coast, I'll show you in a little bit, are just, man. As we get into the tonight, here's your overall parameters with this system. They're expecting tropical storm force conditions, or hurricane force conditions that's coming out of Jamaica. It dumps an extremely amount of heavy rainfall, 10 to 15 inches in Jamaica. It's finally starting to wind down into the Cayman Islands, going over Cuba, and then really intensifying, and then dumping anywhere from 8 to 16 inches with an isolated 20 inches. So not just Category 4 winds. We've got a lot and extremely deep level moisture with this system, with catastrophic flash flooding. New Orleans has already received 65 inches of rain, which is 21 inches above average for the year. So the ground is completely saturated, and we're talking potentially another foot to a foot and a half on top of that. This is just not a pretty setup that's coming for New Orleans and Louisiana. Here is your evacuation map currently. So literally from here's Lake Charles, there's Lafayette, there's Baton Rouge, there's New Orleans. Anywhere in the orange and especially the red needs to get out. I mean, that's just no two ways about it. You need to evacuate now, and you need to get out. You should have been out already because you're definitely run out of time. But you need to get out as soon as possible. Head to Dallas, head to Houston, head north. I mean, just get out. It's not worth risking your life, if at all possible. If you can, I mean, just please urge and listen to all the city officials. You've got, here's the setup behind Ida. There's still 3 systems that's going to be possibly forming over the next 5 to 6 days. Out here is supposed to be pretty active. These systems out here are not going to be making any land impacts, but this system out here and off the coast of Africa that just came off, a lot of the model guidance we'll show you here in a little bit has this also rapidly intensifying into a strong hurricane. So we're gonna have to be looking out for this other system, because I do expect it continuing to remain active between now and say like that September 10th time frame. So we have another about week and a half of continuing tropical systems. But then we're going to have a lull. I'm expecting a lull from about September the 10th, September the 25th time frame, that 2-week lag time, and then I expect it to ramp back up again towards the end of September. So that's what I have going forward in the tropics. But out ahead of it, man, look at these waves that are coming up in the model simulation. Just yesterday when this model ran, we're talking it maxed out at 45 feet. Now it's maxing out at 80 feet. I mean, if you recall, Hurricane Ivan back in 2004 actually topped out at a 70-foot wave. This particular system's trying to top out at 80 feet. So you're talking extremely high waves, dangerous swells out there. This is a dangerous setup, and it could be in the category, a very rare, unique category of a possible 5. And what all these have in common, there's only been 4 category 5 hurricanes that have actually made impact or landfall in the U.S. Michael recently in 2018. Recall Hurricane Camille back in 1969. Then the Labor Day hurricane that came up the coast. And then Andrew back in 92. All these had in common, they were just a tropical storm literally 3 days prior to landfall. So these systems, don't underestimate Mother Nature, because these could rapidly intensify in a big way. The only hope we have with Ida that it potentially maybe peaks out and intensifies possibly too soon, and then it kind of dies down, kind of like Katrina. It peaked about 175, and then it died down to a category 3 actual landfall when it made landfall. So that's the only thing, because the road ahead is very impressive for rapid development, and we can only hope it's going to peak out over the Gulf. But the latest guidance shows it's going to be peaking as it approaches land, and so it's only got about a day and a half, because it's expected to make landfall sometime around 2 or 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon. So we're not that far away from expected landfall of 24 to 36 hours away from this system. So yes, I mean, this is an extremely dangerous system ahead. All the model guidance continues to put it right there, right in that bullseye of Homa, into New Iberia, into New Orleans, in that right front quadrant, into Mississippi, into Alabama. And it's well inland, guys. I mean, inland flooding too is going to be extremely severe with this system as it continues moving into the Tennessee Valley, going into Kentucky, into West Virginia, and even off into the Northeast. And there's a possibility once it gets off into the Northeast that it could start to regenerate again. I mean, with as strong as a system it could be. Camille actually did that back in 69 when it came across, and it has an Erie type map. It has an Erie type, the same, almost kind of the same type path that Hurricane Camille took back in 1969, just a little, maybe a little bit further off to the west. But man, it's just a lot of similarities there that it's just not painting a pretty picture. Here is the latest the wind swath from this system, and yes, we could be looking at 160-mile-per-hour gust offshore with inland gust anywhere from 140 to 150 range, and all the way well inland in two. So I mean 105 and then even into hurricane force conditions, even into Mississippi, well inland with hurricane force wind gusts, even into northern Mississippi as well. So all these wind gusts, even into your inland areas, are going to be pretty impressive with this system, because it's going to be so strong when it impacts the coastline. But there's not really much impacts whatsoever in the state of Texas. A lot of this is going to be hitting Louisiana, and then it's going to be swinging off into the northeast. So yeah, you're still going to be feeling those winds into Mississippi and Alabama, into the Florida, some parts of the Florida Panhandle as well, and especially as you get inland, going all the way up into Alabama, and even parts of Tennessee could see some of those tropical storm force conditions making impact as we get inland. But now let's take a look at the severe threat with this system. That's because that's going to be pretty prevalent as well. It's a known threat. We could see severe weather with tropical systems, and this is not going to be an exception, because as this comes ashore in that right front quadrant, yeah, we could be looking at tornadoes. I mean, the tornado threat right now, it's a 5%, but yes, there's definitely a possibility as these updates, as the road ahead goes up to 10%. If you recall, back in Katrina, there were actually 59 tornadoes within Katrina. So that is definitely another concern with this system, and that right front quadrant, as these things come ashore of a tornado threat, anywhere from New Iberia to Alexandria to Jackson to Mobile to especially into New Orleans. And that's why it's just not a pretty setup whatsoever. If you live in New Orleans, please get out if at all possible. So here, let's take a look at the rain. I mean, this is the latest guidance from the European model. It continues to show that anywhere from double-digit rainfall upwards to almost 19 feet. It maxes out. The National Weather Service, the Weather Prediction Center, also is having, hey, we're going to have a 15-inch swath up to possibly 20 inches in isolated areas. So an extremely heavy amount of rainfall. You can definitely see there's not much happening in Texas from this system. This is from NOR. So NOR is actually going to bring some rain, heavy high winds into Cabo, but also going to bring some heavier rains into southern parts of Arizona as well, with the outflow from NORA. This is systems over the next several days with severe weather today, with Minnesota and Wisconsin getting multiple systems back to back, as the rain from Ida will continue pushing inland, with easily almost double-digit rainfall well into Mississippi and Alabama, even into the Tennessee Valley. Could be seeing some of that double-digit rainfall. And here's the latest update from the hurricane model. Again, by this afternoon, getting in tonight, it's already going to be down to a 959 millibar major hurricane, and that's what's now forecasted from the National Hurricane Center. And as we move through time, you can definitely see this eye just continuing to rapidly intensify. This is almost in the category of a kind of a Harvey type intensity, 947 millibar, as this continues coming ashore. And you can definitely see as it continues to get closer to land, it continues to rapidly intensify and just kind of form that very symmetrical eye, dumping some extremely high winds and heavy rain inland at a 944. And if we take it another frame, even after it comes inland, it continues to drop as a 942 millibar major hurricane, category 4, And yes, there are definitely indications that this even could be conservative as well and put that into a rare category and possibly peak out at a category 5. So that is not out of the question from this particular system, even though it's not officially forecasted currently at this moment, but it definitely has the potential to get there. I certainly don't want a Cat 5. I mean, I'm already cringing on what this is going to do for damage to into Louisiana, because we're talking billions of dollars easily from damage from this system. Going forward, I am expecting more systems to come off, and there's that system off the coast of Africa now. It's a lot of the model guidance has this rapidly intensifying, and that could also be into a hurricane, if not a major hurricane. So, but fortunately, a lot of this guidance has this trying to take it out to sea, but there's definitely some members been as of late trying to swing this back towards the United States. So this is kind of a long ways out, but this looks to be our next system that I'll be looking out for, is see if it's going to be possibly moving towards the United States. And the GFS model kind of implies the same way, that it's going to be rapidly intensifying as it's getting closer into the, say, the Lesser Antilles. And but it's still more, most all ensemble members currently at this moment put this up and take it out to sea. So that's, hopefully that continues that trend. So definitely take this storm seriously, guys. If you're in that evacuation zone, you need to get out, and you need to get out. It's definitely not worth risking your life for. You can always come back. So I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video. Definitely leave your comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel to catch the latest update where I protect you before and after the storm.